Hello, everyone. I am Topeka Fennell-Francis, and I am super excited to talk with Mr. Jermicha Fomby. The power of social media is a great thing. I met Mr. Fomby actually through LinkedIn, and we have a mutual connection and love for Miles College. We're both alumni of Miles, and I reached out because I was so fascinated about his story, how he went from Miles College to working for the FBI. And I wanted to know more about him. His story, his journey. I said, I have to know him. I have to know him. I have to talk to him. And he actually gave me the honor of being on here today to bring his voice to you guys so you can hear his story as well. So please listen and hear his story, Mr. Fomby. Thank you so much.
No, hey, Tamika, thank you so much for having me. Social media is a wonderful thing, and even though I'm fairly new to it, I really recognize how it brings the world together. And so those things were very flattering that you said about me. However, I think that it's very important to know that when you reached out, number one, someone from Miles reaching out to me is important because I feel like everyone from Miles is family because we have a very unique uh, experience in heraldry and legacy. And so I think that's important. Secondly, I think I was more impressed by your resume and the things I saw about you on social media and your accomplishments. So for you to want to have an engagement with me, that's a true honor. So thank you very much for allowing me to do this with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. The mutual respect and love. So I wanted to start by, we had spoken earlier about your journey and how you came to be one of the top persons at the FBI. Can you tell me how that began at Miles and how you started at Miles and how you inevitably now you've retired from one of the top agencies in the federal government? So you can start there for me.
Yeah, sure. So Miles really was the starting point for me, at least from some key aspects for me to get on the journey that I was on. Uh, you know, God blesses us and for things that we don't even ask for sometimes. And I think Miles was one of those blessings for me because Miles was not, where I was looking to go. I didn't know much about it, even though my dad had gone to Miles College. But what I recognized is when I had an opportunity to go to Miles, because it was an opportunity that was provided to me. When I went there, there were so many other things that came along with that that I had no idea would really, lay the foundation for where I would end up in my life.
Mhm.
So even though federal government, I never took a criminal justice class in my life. Uh, but what Miles did to prepare me for that is that Miles taught me a lot of things about service, especially selfless service, about the knowing and understanding for the commitment of community. And so one of the largest cases that was worked by the office that I led in Mississippi was at the end of my career, was one that was a violation of significant, um, you know, terrible outcomes and actions. But it was about civil rights that were violated by law enforcement officers. And
Mhm.
when I think back and think about how important of a role Miles played in the city of Birmingham during the civil rights movement
Yes.
in the 1960s, that the students of Miles College were the ones who were down there marching, having hoses, placed upon them and doing the sit-ins. Even in my time at Miles College in 1993, where a local civil rights activist who at that time was the mayor of Birmingham, Richard Arrington,
Mhm.
who was a Milean. And there's Jesse Jackson coming to Miles
Mhm.
to fight, ironically, the Department of Justice regarding, some false allegations uh, that were problematic. Like it all comes, into one single fold for me and very uniquely, not by my design. But Miles College again led me to being the special agent in charge of the FBI in Jackson, Mississippi, of all places, all
Right.
because of that foundation. Yeah, I love
Exactly.
that.
Of all the places, right?
Of all the places, and I think that because of there's a lot I learned in the classroom at Miles College, just like you, right?
Mhm.
But there's a lot that we learned from the folks who were there. Those elder statesmen and stateswomen who were a part of the fiber of Miles College that merged academia with faith-based foundations that really guided us toward carrying a torch that was not just about going and getting a paycheck and not just about
Exactly.
taking that degree that we were having, frame it to go do to get a bigger paycheck, but
Mhm.
to make the journey about something, to make the journey that was going to be something that was meaningful, that at the end, whether it is described as such or not, you have a legacy that you continue from Miles College and the surrounding community, and one that you would look to expect for others to carry on, because not just because it's something to claim credit for, but it's something that was so important for us in our community. And Miles did that for me.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I'm very proud of about Miles. They build upon the legacy. It's like every time I go somewhere, I've known someone, if they did not go to Miles, their aunt went to Miles, their uncle went to Miles, their niece went to Miles, their grandmother went to Miles, their grandfather, there's someone in their family who went to Miles. And just like we had spoken earlier about, I had not gone to college, and I was divorced. I had a 3-year-old little boy, and I went to Miles, and I had this little boy in tow, and they became surrogates to my son so that I could go to school. And I walked in and I saw these professional women, not having seen a lot of women that looked like me within a corporate setting, but they were professional, smart, CPAs, business minded. They owned their own business. They taught at Miles. They had families. And I said, I can do this too. I can do this too. And then to go back at one point and work with them. So to come from a student to a colleague, and then back to being a colleague, and then having my students. They're my students, they're my kids. I have one biological child, but a lot of many children, as I say. So I understand that aspect of it. So can you tell me a little bit more about you and I spoke about the McNair program and how that actually led you and guided you into where you are or where you retired from? I know that we ask students all the time, what are your dreams? What are your goals? And the McNair program actually shows you and teaches you how to actually build a path to that goal. Can you tell me how that helped you?
Yeah, sure. So the Ronald McNair program, very much like Miles College, where I was drawn to Miles College, or guided to Miles College, let me say. I was
Mhm.
also guided to the Ronald McNair program. So this is you've seen a cycle now of things that Miles College and sort of my path to go the right way. So I was guided by very engaged faculty members, the way you describe the impressions made upon you when you got to Miles and you started your journey. And I didn't know what to expect, except for uh, those engaged leaders knew they recognized potential,
Mhm.
and they recognized drive, but also they found a way to be encouraging to say, you need to go and you need to do this because this is what's important. And what I didn't know behind that curtain was the Ronald McNair program was something that was going to teach me how to take research and do it on a different level,
Mhm.
uh, and then also take critical thinking and apply that on a different level, and then bring those things together, uh, to be courageous at times because you would be challenged, to be
Mhm.
confident at times because you were developed to know how to do the things the right way, but more so than that, be flexible in taking the data and understanding it and looking to see if what you were looking for, what you thought was really going to be something that happened. And then in the end, get up and defend that, and
Mhm.
get up and be bold about this is what it is and where it is. And I just think that that was so unique for me, and it's something that, um, yeah, they're easily to define some tangibles as far as getting preparatory training for taking the graduate school exams, uh, having some experience to be able to speak to things in interviews about the experience and the research and so forth. Uh, but there are a bunch of intangibles which I think are much greater and add to much more of a solid foundation. And if you think about, just the namesake, Ronald McNair, you're talking about dream and dream high to reach the highest levels, literally
Mhm.
exactly what this is what someone does. And a lot of kids say, hey, I'm going to go in and be an astronaut. And then you have it, and you have the namesake for that program
Right.
literally do that and
Exactly.
come from the humble beginnings that he came from in South Carolina and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. What better way to take that and that foundation again from Miles College
Mhm.
of all the things that Miles has done in the community and then add a program like that and say, hey, and this is a combination. You see a chemistry that is really is bubbling up of
Mhm.
great, of great combinations there with Miles College and programs like Ronald McNair.
Exactly. And you were not the only student. Well, you were in the inaugural class of McNair at Miles, correct? And then you were
Yes,
also not. I mean, I'm bringing this up because it shows you the caliber of students who attend Miles and how they cultivate those students, and they go on to do such wonderful and great things. And you actually still recruit, or you recruit for the FBI from HBCUs, correct?
yeah, that's correct. So now, coincidentally, in my inaugural class of Ronald McNair at Miles College, there's a gentleman by the name of Cornelius Harris who is still an FBI agent,
Mm.
probably the most senior FBI agent in the state of Alabama. He's in the Birmingham office, and he was partnered with me in the program.
Wow.
Let me say, so Cornelius is a very sharp individual, and he was far more serious, than I was in the program. More mature. And I said he's more mature, so he had the wherewithal to know and recognize that. But and the reason why I bring that up is because is you described something earlier too. It's not just the sake of going to Miles, but it's the environment. It is a population that is a part of Miles College, and people like Cornelius, also peers, mature peers, helped guide my way. And he used to talk me going to the FBI. So we had two, and we graduated together. We came to the FBI a few years apart. Um, we have connected throughout the organization. There's another gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Artis who's graduated right before we got to college, who recently retired as an FBI agent from Miles College, and there's another young man
Wow.
in the Birmingham office. So, and I don't think there's definitely never been a short period of time and generation having that, and to have uh, uh, not just be a part of the organization, but
Mhm.
Jeffrey and Cornelius in their own rights have really been like renowned contributors to the FBI mission and are known nationwide. So here we are, little old Miles College,
Right.
sitting in the room next to Ivy League graduates, you know, and holding
Exactly.
our arms up to the foundation. Yeah,
So you guys were able to add to the diversity within that federal agency.
we were, and so with that, we started a program called the Beacon Project, and all right, we there?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, so we started a program called the Beacon Project, and this Beacon Project was set out to do two things. It was to improve diversity, equity, inclusion within the FBI, within the ranks, and also to help improve the community outreach in underserved communities, namely the Black community within the U.S. as how it relates to the FBI. And this came about, it's been needed for a very long time, but summer 2020 really changed the tone of the nation. And what we recognize is that you would see very uniquely and very profoundly and very magnified that there was a disconnect in the Black community and law enforcement. But why it became such a significant thing for the FBI is that not only was there a disconnect within the FBI as well in the community, but the expectations of the community is that when no one else does anything and fixes the problems, that the FBI is who you go to. That's who the community went to during the civil rights movement. That's who the FBI, along with U.S. Marshals, help protect the schools being integrated and investigated all the civil rights crimes, just like the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing or the Mississippi burning situation. So here it is. How is it that we are the go-to, should be a beacon of hope, a beacon of light, yet we don't have that connection that we should have. And so several of us took it upon ourselves to say, hey, let's fix this, right? Let's bridge this. And part of it is we need to go out and rebuild trust in some areas, or maintain, strengthen trust where it existed. But what do we do to develop this and get more engagement? There are many ways to do it, but we know where there's a large population of very qualified candidates to be part of the organization, and that is within the HBCUs. We know that HBCUs is strictly historically Black. Some have much larger populations of Black students than others. But what you have is you have not just diversity, but you have inclusion on these campuses. You have people getting different perspectives and different experiences. And that's what you need with that, and bring that diversity of thought, diversity of experience into the organization. So this is very important. It was tough going because you have to change the culture of things. But I will say that the people who've been working on the program, and there's a very strong team, a very committed team who have continued that. They're really seeking to develop it and make it something that's necessary. And presidents such as President Bobby Knight at Miles College was one of the first key advocates of the program, and Miles has been very involved with it. She, along with the president of Morgan State, who's is from Alabama originally, from Demopolis. So you have that level of leadership who know and understand how to do this. And so I think the reason why I was able to do it, so I went back to the Ronald McNair program, as I mentioned earlier. Miles taught me to be courageous. Miles taught me to be bold. Miles taught me to go and find data that said, hey, this is what it is, and then be bold enough and courageous enough to go and defend that. And I literally did that when we started the program. And we took those same principles from the Ronald McNair program and applied them later, because by this time, 25, 30 years later, this is who I am because of that foundation. And so we now have, even though I retired in December of 2023, the diverse population in the FBI is really growing now, and not just within color, but more so also women of color. And Miles is doing the same thing. Miles has a very strong leadership that is headed by ladies, president, provost, deans, and so Miles is still leading the way.
Yes. Look, yes, we are. We are Miles. And so congratulations on another achievement. You went from Miles, and then now you've retired. So
I have, which is unique. Time passes quickly.
Yes.
And we rush it sometimes, and we want to slow it down at other times. And no
Mhm.
matter what, we never get the timing right.
True.
Um, but I, but I, but I'm at a point in my life at the retirement age, at least from my previous job,
Mhm.
uh, really continue the things that you and I've talked about from our days and miles, and that is a purpose. I think that you met people there with a purpose, and I think
Mhm.
you have taken that same those examples and perspectives of purpose and support and outreach, and so look how you develop, and look at how you're blossoming to do the things that you're doing right now. And so I would like to do the exact same things. I did those things in one avenue, and
Mhm.
now I'm looking forward to going and doing them in another avenue. And just like my path to Miles College, I'm not looking to design it. Uh, I'm looking to be intentional with it, but I'm looking for purpose to and passion to merge and really marry this time around.
Yes, and I totally agree. I totally agree. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I know that with you now going in another path and exploring other things, that you and I talked about coming back full circle and meeting in person when you're back in town, and continuing to cultivate and um, help the next generation. As we said earlier, it's about legacy at Miles. It's about helping each generation get better and better, and cultivate those opportunities and what they know and what they do. So I truly look forward to it. I've enjoyed this, and I would hope that we can get together and speak more about the Beacon Project and everything that you're doing as well. So I look forward to meeting you in person.
No, thank you very much. It's been a sheer honor from me. Again, I'm glad to see that Miles still has a legacy that didn't just end when I attended there. That
Mhm.
the generations later, that people like you are still carrying on the torch that really make a difference in lives. And I encourage people to uh, to know that their success when you go to historically Black colleges, that you
Mhm.
get a chance to go there and to be a part of a continuation of a legacy, but has historical perspectives,
Mhm.
and know and understand our education systems and institutions existed because we were attempted to be deprived of opportunities,
Right.
yet there's resiliency in that, and we found a way. So go and get that understanding, get um, that cultural engagement.
Mhm.
And I'll say this is that once you get out to the world, like I did a comparison earlier about working next to those who went to Ivy League schools. But
Mhm.
what I've noticed more as I mature in age, that people look at you from our culture differently and with more pride when you've gone to the historically Black college.
Yes.
There's a rivalry with HBCUs, but there's also a respect
Yes.
that that really isn't put into words, but you feel the camaraderie and the love that exists when you have attended an HBCU.
Yes.
It is driving and changing culture, in the masses now. So
Mhm.
be a part of that. So be a part of it.
Yeah.
You did it. I did it. Countless people out there who have made their marks in the world have done it. And so I just suggest that the future mark makers go out and experience historically Black college life.
Absolutely. I think you can't explain the love, that there's a love I have for Miles particularly, but for HBCUs in general, there's a love and there's an experience. Unless you go there, unless you go to an HBCU, you can't understand. You can't understand the experience and the love. I'll put it that
Yeah,
way. It's
yeah,
different,
you,
different.
you can't. Look, I went to Miles and got my bachelor's degree. I went to Tusculum University and got a master's degree. I went to Seton Hall and
Mhm.
got another master's degree. And my most prideful time and my proudest, um, you know, moment of accomplishments is that from Miles College. The smallest school, but had the greatest impact on me and my life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm honored to be among one of the alum with you. So, so we,
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I think that look, you're raising the bar. So I'm just glad that I can claim you and say, hey, look what comes from my school. So, so keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, thank you. And we will talk again soon. Thanks, everyone.
Now, take care.
Okay.